Well, news flow and the timings of announcements are viewed by investors as key indicators of a company's transparency and health. It was therefore a surprise when on Monday the 30th of November, Brady released a statement which gave investors cause for concern. The commodity and energy trading software specialist announced it's looking to cut costs, saying tough market conditions in the commodities, energy and scrap metal sectors will hit full-year results. Now, unusually, the statement was released after the markets closed at 5:45 p.m. Gavin Lavelle is the Chief Executive. Gavin, thank you very much indeed for joining us today.
My pleasure.
The timing of that update, 5:45 p.m, tea time, markets had closed. Why couldn't you have brought it out earlier?
It was important news for our investors and for the market more generally. We had a board meeting where we reviewed the outlook for the year. There has been some deferral of contract signatures, not that deals have gone away, but they just deferred into 2016. And as we reviewed the outlook for the year, it was clear that we'd have to lower the city guidance. So we convened the board meeting. After the board meeting, we went straight to see our advisors as quickly as possible. We sat down with the advisors, explained the news, and we then agreed to actually put the news into the marketplace immediately. We live in a 24/7 news world, as you know, Sarah, and we felt this was important news and we put it out as quickly as we could.
Okay, I'm just still a little bit concerned though, because it sounded like a last minute epiphany because, just a few months ago, September, investors had reassurance that everything was on track. And now essentially they have a profit warning. Trading doesn't sort of deteriorate overnight. And so I'm still not buying into the story quite yet, Gavin.
So let me explain how software procurement works. Typically, software is procured at the end of the half year and more importantly at the end of the full year. Companies typically hold back their IT spend till the end of the year. If they've had a good year, then they'll spend the money. If they haven't had a good year, then they hold off. In the first half, as you recall, we did have a good start to the year in terms of signing some really significant names. One of the top 4 commodity companies on the planet, and also the biggest recycling company has taken our software for their Asia Pac. So we had a good first half. We don't normally sign big contracts in the first half of the year. For the second half, we had a pipeline of activity which was advancing. Typically what happens is people leave for the summer, they go away in August, they come back in September, get reorganized, and in October and November we do presentations to the customers, and then in November, December, contracts get signed. So really, November and December is the contracting period. Now, we have a good pipeline of activity. You may recall in the summer months, the Chinese stock market collapsed. The Chinese actually have been dumping metal, copper, steel, scrap into the markets, and it's actually been a very challenging time for some of the commodity players. So we weren't sure at that time. The contracts that we still have are in progression. Some of them have been deferred into 2016. So it wasn't possible for us to say anything in September, and it wasn't actually apparent until November. And as soon as we were aware, we communicated to the board, we communicated to our advisors, and we got it in the market as quickly as possible.
Okay, well, I'm glad you've clarified the China situation for me, because if you just dwelled on the holiday aspect, I'm sorry,
Yes.
but summer holidays are part of the annual calendar, so that wouldn't have washed at all. But in terms of China, nobody foresaw this. Should investors be nervous given the uncertainty in the commodities sector? What sort of visibility do you have to that sector?
Okay, so we do operate in the commodities sector. For Brady, we have a very high degree of recurring revenues. So 55% of our revenues are recurring. Another 25% is implementing our software, which we have very good visibility on. There's always the additional bit to find, some new contracts and new licenses. So we have a very high visibility on our revenues looking forward. However, given the uncertainty in the marketplace, we have taken action to reduce costs. We've announced that we'll take out 1.7 million in cost. That just means that we are prudent coming into 2016. We have signed a number of contracts in the second half of the year, including 5 cloud-based transactions. These are really good deals for us. We'll start to see that recurring revenue come through in our model. And so we have signed deals. There are still a month to go. We've still got plenty of contracts out, and we look forward to giving that news flow as and when those contracts hit. That gives us very good visibility on the first half of 2016. With the lower cost base, we will have very good visibility of our profitability going forward. We are a cash generative business. We always have been, and we focus very hard on making profits for our customers and driving value for our clients.
Okay, so the cost cutting of 1.7 million sounds vicious to me. I'm wondering if you've had to axe some key and essential staff, or you've had to put some divisions into dormancy. Is that the
No, I think in terms of our overall turnover, it's 7% of our turnover. If you think of what's been happening to some of the commodity sectors and prices, I think this is very reasonable. I think it puts us on a footing that we're able to respond. There are big contracts out there to be won, and when we win those contracts, we need to be able to deploy the team to implement. So I don't think it's material. I think it's important that we do it and that we're prudent going forward, but I don't think we're slashing the company in any way, shape or form. Quite the reverse. I think the contracts we've signed are really great names, and there's more to come.
Okay, now just remind me about the pipeline that you've got, and how many of your prospects can become conversions.
Yeah, so we have a strong pipeline of activity in advanced negotiations. Some of those will fall before the end of the year. Some of the deals have definitely deferred into 2016. We haven't lost those deals. We think we're in very good shape on those transactions, and we look forward to reporting those in 2016. So, I'm not feeling bearish on the business at all. Actually, I'll give you some examples of positives that we've had. We've just signed the largest cloud deal that we've ever signed with a very major European energy company. They were saying, look, we like your software, but actually, our own internal costs are high. Their IT department, we said, no problem. We put the software in our cloud. We can run it more efficiently, more effectively for you. So you're saving money. It's the biggest cloud deal that we've signed. And I think that puts me in good shape going forward. So there's a clear example of a win for both the customers and for Brady.
Okay, so you say that, you're not bearish, but the market has been brutal. You've seen something quite horrific happening to your share price. How are you coping with that mentally?
Mentally, I have full confidence in the business. We have a great company, great clients, lots of understanding. I would like to remind our investors that actually our largest shareholder has been buying shares in the marketplace, and I personally added more of my own investment. I bought more shares in September. I have full confidence in the long run for the business. I think the action we've taken at the end of this year puts us in very good position going forward, and I've full belief in Brady as a successful business. Okay,
so let's come full circle. You don't seem as though you have any regrets, but what about that 5:45 p.m. release of that statement on Monday the 30th? Would you have done things differently now?
I think having a board meeting, realising we were going to miss, communicating that immediately to our advisors, and it was important news, and it is important news. And I think getting out into the marketplace as quickly as possible. We live in a world of digital media. If it had come out from a leak source, some other direction, I think people would be disappointed. I think we're being prudent. We put the news in the marketplace as quickly as possible, and I think that was the right thing to do.
Okay, thank you very much. Gavin Lavelle, Chief Executive of Brady. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.